and welcome to the Spiritual and Physical Health Challenge Hangout. I'm your host, Kimberly Payne, and my guest this week is Stephanie Nicol. Stephanie is a featured writer on my blog, where she writes on topics of health and fitness. Stephanie has an eclectic collection of skills and interests, including work as a freelance editor and writer, a labor doula, and a former personal trainer. Welcome, Stephanie.
Glad to be here again.
So this is part 3 of our session today, and we're just talking about top health and fitness myths and the truths that are surrounding them. What have you got for us now?
Well, I thought the first one would be that some people think that skipping meals is a great way to, count calories, to save up calories for the next meal and that kind of thing. But the one thing that our body does is what some people call go into survival mode. If we don't eat regularly, our body doesn't trust us to feed it again, so it holds on to the calories instead of letting us burn them. Now, of course, that in the extreme that doesn't hold true, but in general practice, we need to eat regularly. And, not just if you're diabetic to keep your blood sugars even. Small meals throughout the day is actually better for pretty much everyone.
Yeah, I remember learning that years ago, that, to have a breakfast and then a snack and then a lunch and then a snack and dinner and snack sort of thing.
Exactly.
And, originally I started with having a breakfast and then a snack the size of a breakfast and then a lunch and then the lunch the size, and then, the snack the size of a lunch. I thought, no, you're not supposed to have 6 large meals over the day.
No.
You're supposed to take what you would normally eat in 3 meals and divide it into 6. So.
Yes, that's more of the idea. And when we say snacks, I know that you mean, and it's not the bag of potato chips or the row of cookies.
Yeah.
It's having those healthy
snacks out there that are healthy for you. One of the ones I remember is a girlfriend told me she takes grapes and she freezes them, and then she pops those as snacks. And I thought that's
exactly.
a good idea, especially in summer heat.
I think my teeth with fillings in them might object to frozen grapes, but it's also, I think, when something like that, it's harder to eat them quickly, and that would be the whole point. I think it was satisfying for longer if you were just sort of sucking on them until you were able to chew them. Right.
But an ideal snack would consist probably of carbohydrates, protein, fat.
Yeah, and sort of, again, balancing that throughout the day, right? A nice serving of raw almonds is a good snack, but it doesn't certainly cover everything.
Right.
But as long as you're getting all areas of what you need to eat throughout the day, things in all categories, and that's a good idea. And if you can, have at least two different kinds of things in your snack, like a dairy for those who aren't lactose intolerant, of course, and a protein, or something like that. That would be great.
Sure, yeah.
And fats aren't to be afraid of. Well, it's just mentioned fats. We certainly don't need to be afraid of fats, because we can't deprive ourselves of those all the time. That wouldn't be good.
Right. So when you're saying good fats, you're talking about like the fats that we would find in nuts. And that sort
exactly. And I do know, certainly you can find professional opinions on both sides of the argument. I am leaning more and more towards whole, natural, clean foods, which to me makes a lot of sense, to consume them as much as possible the way they are in nature, because some research is showing our bodies can process those things better, unless instead of artificially dividing the elements of food and just saying, here, I'll give you what I declare is good and I'll hold back the bad stuff. Well, sometimes our bodies can process it much better if we have the whole food. I'm thinking of, for instance, we're on this no sugar added for a week, and I think it's a great thing to explore. But even when you talk about sugars, sugar cane to chew on sugarcane gives you the fiber as well as the sweetness, as well as the sugars.
Right.
So our bodies treat that differently than if we just took the syrup out of the cane and used it in our cooking,
Yeah, yeah.
for instance.
Now, Deb Powell, she is a guest writer on my blog, and every month she posts a new recipe because she's gone back to eating raw, basically, and she's
Right.
gone back to all, the whole foods. And so it's helpful information there if you want to check out my blog. It's the healthy eating section with Deb Powell.
Yes, there's some of the recipes I have made note of that I do want to try myself, because even if you don't go all of one way, it doesn't mean you can't benefit from looking at the recipes and thinking, hey, that sounds really great. Let's give that a try.
Yeah,
You don't have to do all or nothing kind of thing with these kind of diets, or I don't like calling them diets because it's any other being on the planet. If we say their diet, we just mean what they eat.
Yes.
But if we say it, we're talking about, for human beings, we're talking about restrictions and depriving ourselves and all kinds of things. And it has so many negative connotations.
Right.
But the food we eat can come from, a variety of ways of eating, and we have to find out not only what works for us, but what's appealing to us, because if we find food we like, we're much more likely to stick with that kind of healthy eating than if, we're always eating things that, we don't want to put in our mouth.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, you won't get me eating Brussels sprouts, but
There you go.
I do love green beans, so.
Exactly. There's a lot of green vegetables out there that are not Brussels sprouts. Or Brussels sprouts because it's from Brussels, but we never say it properly, but that's another story.
We'll do a broadcast on
Yeah, right.
So, what do you have for a second myth?
Yes, I was just thinking, I love the gym. I do. There's so many advantages at the gym, but you don't have to have a gym membership, and you don't have to go to the gym to have a good workout, and it doesn't take a lot of money to get the basic equipment that you need to have on hand to give, to have a really good workout. Because it was my son's room. It's technically the spare room, but because we don't have any guests right now, it's also my exercise room, and it's right beside my office.
Mm-hmm.
So I have an exercise ball in there and a mat, and I picked up at Walmart, actually, adjustable free weights. That's everything from 5 to 25 pounds a piece. And when you've got that, there's such a wide range of exercises you can do. Of course, you need to know what you're doing with free weights, because they really hurt if you drop them on your head or your toe. But if you're careful and if you learn how to use them properly, it doesn't cost a lot of money to equip your home with the few things that you do need.
Yeah. I do have a YMCA membership that I've had for a while now, but I do put it on hold in the summertime. And because I love to be outdoors, and I love to do the biking and the hiking and the walking in the summertime, and then the weights, like you, Steph, I have downstairs in my basement, I have an area that's sectioned off, and I have my balance ball there and free weights. I've added a couple of kettle weights as well, and some bands, some elastic bands. So yeah, you can set up a home gym very inexpensively and work out your total body just at home. So you're right, you don't need to have a gym membership to have the benefits of working out.
Absolutely. Now, I would just sort of put just a little tack on there that it's important, if you can, to have, if you've got a friend who was or is a personal trainer or whatever, just to have him or her watch you do your exercises, just because this leads into my third myth for today, is that form is irrelevant. Or that you can you can do it properly without paying really close attention to how you're performing an exercise. Because the worst case scenario is that you end up injuring yourself. The best, if you want to call it the best case scenario, is you're not doing yourself virtually any good, or you're working out muscles that you're not actually targeting because you're using poor form. And I know that a lot of people think it's purely ego why gyms slap up all those mirrors on the wall. But for a lot of people, those mirrors are their way of telling themselves, I've got correct form. I'm doing it properly. Because, it's not a bad idea to have a full-length mirror in your workout area, just so you know that, okay, I'm doing that properly. And just one example, of course, is a squat. The natural thing is to rock forward. It's very natural to have your knees come over your toes. And that just puts a lot of undue strain on the knees, which are amazing joints, but a lot of things can go wrong with them if we're not taking care of them. So, just to sit back like you're sitting in a chair, and if you stand beside that full-length mirror sideways, you can just glance over and tell if your knees are jutting forward or not. Obviously you have to know what proper form looks like, but there's lots of, good exercise videos you can purchase, or online exercises that you can watch the experts do and see if your body looks the same as theirs when you do it. Right. Of course, you've got to make sure it's a reliable site with people who know what they're doing.
Yeah, I remember years ago, I was at the gym, and I was using this one machine, and it was for my quadriceps, my front thighs. And a young man came over to me, and he said, "Oh, if you point your toe this way, it'll help with your calf." And I remember doing that and thinking, how does that actually help? And that was one of the reasons that I ended up certifying as a personal trainer, because I didn't know if he was right or wrong. I just thought that seemed a bit weird, what he was showing me. And in fact, it was wrong. I think it's important to have an expert have a look at, what you're doing, or give you cues, even to just do it a few times,
Exactly.
Where if you're on the right path.
Yes, I mean, it's very important, obviously, that you have a doctor sign off on an exercise program. But the one thing, I'm not acting as a personal trainer, but if someone wants me to demonstrate exercises and put together a workout for them that they can then take to their doctor and say, is there any reason I can't do these exercises? I'm still most willing to do that. But not working in a gym and not having that kind of, oversight, my knowledge level hasn't changed. It's increased because I still continue to learn more. But I mean, I do want people to know that they're doing it right, and also that it's an exercise that they're able to do, that the doctor doesn't see any reason why they can't. And I mean, I know some people think it's irrelevant that they put at the beginning of every exercise video you ever see to see a doctor when you change your activity level, but it really is important. There are some things that they might know about our health and well-being that they know that, like you said, you didn't know if that would help your calf or not, and you wanted to know. So, there might be something that works a muscle that we don't really realize might not be good for us to work. I have one lady just recently, I showed her how to exercise, but she does have knee issues. So obviously I'm not going to suggest really deep lunges and really deep squats. That kind of thing that puts extra strain on the knees is not something that I'm going to do. But there are exercises that will strengthen the muscles around the knees that will then help to support that knee. And those are the kind of things you need to know, and you need an expert to know your limitations so they can take that into account.
For sure, absolutely. Yeah. Well, thanks again, Stephanie, for your expert advice. To learn more about Stephanie, visit her website at stephbethnicol.com. StephenNickel.com. This hangout has been brought to you by the Spiritual and Physical Health Challenge. Visit my website at KimberlyPayne.com to learn when the next challenge begins. Blessings on your journey to health.